Welcome to a special edition of EMBN from the HQ, and we've got two very special guests, two seasoned e-mountain bikers in the form of Georgia Leslie from Specialized and also Chris Akrigg, recently signed for Whyte Bikes. Guys, I want to talk about uppers and downers. Now, I know it's Wednesday.
Don't get too ahead of yourself, Steve.
So there's two reasons uppers and downers. Chris is from up north, Georgia from down south. But we're not talking about sort of regional geography here. We're talking about e-mountain biking and maybe the different types of e-biking that the pair of you do. So obviously, Georgia, let's start with you. What's your favourite? Obviously, Specialized. You've got a whole range of bikes. You've got Canevos, Levos. What's your go-to?
I think we all know by this point that my go-to is the Canevo SL.
Well, we don't. These guys don't.
You will do soon.
Why is that? Is it the people you ride with? Is it your weight? I mean, obviously, I hear you recently put on a bit of weight.
I did, and it's all your fault. I don't know if that video's out yet or not, but
it is out.
Oh, okay, it is out. Well,
it
go
is
and
out.
Have a watch of the torture.
Georgia Leslie wearing a bulletproof vest from Baghdad.
Yeah, it sounds just like.
Do you laugh now?
Is it that rough
do you know what you're laughing at?
Is it that rough down here?
You've got to be careful. You've got to be careful.
So just basically, Georgia was wearing a bulletproof vest to see what it feels like. I don't know how much do you weigh, Chris.
Not much.
80?
What's that?
75
in real money?
Kilos.
I don't know kilos. Not stone.
13 stone. 12 stone.
Shy. Yeah. Some.
So basically, what we're doing is. People comment on the lightweight bikes. I don't know whether Whyte have got a lightweight bike in the pipeline. I mean, surely they must have, in the future, but I'm guessing they'll have a lightweight motor in as well. But the point is, I wanted Georgia to find out what it feels like for me to ride a lightweight bike, obviously with a bit of baggage on her.
Yeah.
You did all right, actually. You did all right. Anyway, let's get back to the subject in hand. Is the reason you choose a KSL? Is it the people you ride with, or is it where you ride?
I think it's a mixture. I think, I've ridden the full fat e-bikes and I've ridden the Levo SL, the Canevo SL, and I just gel with the lightweight platforms a lot better. Maybe because, you have to ride them a lot differently to how you do a full fat because they are a lot lighter. So, riding a lightweight e-bike downhill just feels like riding a normal bike, but you still get that assistance going up.
I mean, let's not forget the KSL is it's a ripper of a bike. It's 170mm travel.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I haven't ridden the KSL. I think that bike can probably descend almost as quick as a downhill bike.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, I spent a lot of time on the Enduro, which is essentially the same as the Canevo, but the Canevo just has a motor. So I just got on that bike and gelled with it really, really well from the beginning. And I don't have to, I just felt with the full fat bikes, you have to move your weight around so much. And I was like manhandling the bike and the braking points are different. And I just rode it completely different to how I ride a normal bike. Whereas when I got on the Canevo, it was just like, it clicked and it was just like riding my Enduro.
I guess now you've been doing the upper body workout with the bulletproof vest, yeah. Chris, recently signed for Whyte.
Yeah.
3 years on GT bikes.
That's it.
I guess you're riding the 160, right?
Yeah, 160, yeah. Yeah.
I guess the big news for you is a change from Shimano to Bosch, right?
Yeah, Bosch full power. So yeah, I was previously on the Shimano, so we're going full power, Bosch. Yeah, loving it so far. Not spent a massive amount of time on it, but yeah, there's definitely, I'm loving it.
But in terms of the travel, 160, I mean, what was the GT bike? The GT Force, wasn't it?
150,
Yeah.
150. So I mean, it's not. I don't really feel that like it's 10mm, but really, you don't really feel that. I don't, it's not much really, is it?
Yeah.
Like 10mm.
So
between friends.
27.5 on that bike. What's you laughing at? What's you laughing at?
Is it something I said?
God, I've been listening to this show already. It's only Wednesday.
We're trying to talk about uppers and downers. So
29. 29, front and rear.
Which is the same as the
Same as the
KSL.
Canevo.
But I'm going to try mullet.
Have you ridden mullet before?
I haven't ridden mullet yet. I've got set
Okay.
wheels. They're going to go in, and that'll be
Gonna
something
give it a
that we
go.
could probably do together, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
There you
What
go.
do you prefer, 29 or
Oh, I
mullet?
love the way that Georgia Leslie's flipped this. Do you know what? It's an interesting conversation. Yeah, good question. If it's trail riding, like out and about in the mountains, I think 29 is a good mix, because if I'm climbing technical climbs, I think there's a good bit of rollover on the 29-inch wheel. Obviously, tyres matter as well. But I think on downhill, if it's steep, super steep downhill, I do slightly prefer the 27.5 in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, but so, I mean, Chris, for what you do, let's talk about the type of riding you guys do now then. Chris Akrigg, I'm guessing it's weighted more towards climbing and...
Yeah, I guess like everything I do is like, you know, I guess on the higher end of the technical scale, I'd say. You know,
I'd say. Martin, would you agree with that?
Casual.
The higher end of the technical scale?
Mid.
Mid. No, mid to low then, Mark, so appease you.
What's it like to have Martin Ashton in the audience?
Can't see in the lights too bright.
I've had him watching me for years, so it doesn't faze me.
So actually, I mean, there you go. There's a thing for you then, is audiences. Now we'll talk about who you ride with in a minute, Georgia. But Chris Akrigg, I'm guessing trials is a hugely pressurised sport, and when people are watching you, is like, yeah, there's an intense kind of focus on you. So when you go riding, do you go riding with groups of friends or?
To be honest, if I don't, it's not because I don't have friends. Let's get that clear.
Aww.
It's just because, like,
If anyone wants to be Chris's friend.
I tell you what, when people come ride with me, they don't come back. Generally speaking, Steve spent a bit of time with me on a bike.
That explains a lot.
I've been reluctant to head north again, that's for sure.
Yeah, there seems to have been a bit of delay from the last visit, Steve, to be honest.
I was devastated. I was genuinely devastated. Have you seen him riding a bike?
Yeah.
It is literally mind-blowing. Martin Ashton's pretending he's not listening.
No, like I generally
He makes
go.
a right mess of it, doesn't he?
So you ride by yourself?
I generally ride by myself, to be honest. That's no other reason. I just, you know, it's not because I prefer my own company over others. It's just because, like, that's what I do. I like going in the woods on my own, and I find that's like a really good, like, where I can gauge where I'm at. I like being able to push myself when I'm on my own, and it's nothing to do with anybody else, like peer pressure or anything like that. I feel like if you can push yourself and ride to a good level on your own, I don't know, there's something, I don't know, that's
You
quite
know what?
pure.
I actually completely agree with you on that. Like, if there's anything new feature, and my riding is like bimbling down a towpath in comparison to yours, but if there's any feature on the trail that I've not done before, if there's no one else there, there's no way. There's no way I would do it. It's such a mindset.
Well, with people around you?
No, if there's people there, then I know that if something happens, someone can rescue me. But if I'm on my own, I could be lying in the woods for a couple of days, no one's going to know.
So what's a typical e-mountain bike ride for Georgia Leslie?
A typical e-mountain bike ride for me, obviously in the Surrey Hills.
Mm-hmm. Very different terrain to what Chris has got, I can assure you that.
Very different riding styles, everything. But typical e-bike ride would be...
What's the type of terrain? What about the people you go with? All that?
It varies. Some of the time I'll be with a group of e-bikers, and it'll be a combination of lightweight and full fat bikes. I ride a lot with my dad, and he rides a full fat Levo. He's sold on it.
You tend to ride together quite easily?
We do. We ride together really easily. I mean, he has to dial it down a notch, you know, no turbo, otherwise I will be blown out of my arse. But we've got quite a good balance of... Sorry.
Technical term.
He knows what I mean.
No, I know, exactly. Carry on.
But, you know, we've got quite a good balance of the settings that I'll use and settings he'll use, and we get to ride together. And we're really lucky in where my parents live in Surrey, if I'm going to go and ride from there.
It's a busy area, isn't it? Like Pease Lake and what's the other name of the place? Place in Guildford.
Redlands.
Redlands or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, there is a lot. And
what about there's a lot of e-bikers there.
There are a lot of e-bikers, because I think, you know, the Surrey Hills is quite relatively easy to just sort of up and down, or you could go out and do a massive from the door, 3 peaks, Pitch, Holmbury, Leith.
Give us a rough idea of distance.
Well, funny you say that. On Saturday, went out and I did 50k
Right.
with my dad, and I came back with like 10% battery.
And there's a 360 battery in the KSL, right?
320.
Are you sure about that? I mean, you're on camera. You're the brand manager for
We'll
Specialized.
just cut that out if that's not confirmed. There is.
320 with a range extender as well.
This is 160. No range extender.
No range extender.
No.
So, what about altitude? Obviously, there's very little altitude in the Surrey Hills.
Yeah, not a huge amount.
Do you ever go out with sort of? I mean, do you ever like? You know, everyone talks about E-mountain bike and the ability to go on mixed rides. You go on do you go on mixed rides with people that are not on e-bikes?
Yeah, I do, because a lot of the people that I ride with are a lot fitter than me. They race, you know, maybe they're quite roadies, super fit, and if they're riding their normal bikes, maybe a cross-country style bike, I'll take the e-bike out, ride it in eco, so that I can actually keep up with them. Otherwise, I'll just be dead for the whole ride. Just means I can enjoy it a lot more. Or if I've gone out and done a big ride on Saturday, on pedaling on an analogue bike, then I can go out on Sunday as well and enjoy it, because I can just turn the modes up a little bit.
So every time I thought you'd go out on a Saturday, you don't really do much riding on a Sunday.
Oh.
Chris, big e-bike scene in Skipton.
Not well. I mean,
yes, I know there's you. I know. Let's not forget there's Lemmy as well. We're not talking about Lemmy.
Yeah.
Lemmy's always in the woods.
My border collie, riding partner.
Yeah.
Soulmate.
I've got
coach.
I've got to be honest, Chris. I didn't see Lemmy in the recent video.
Oh, he was there, but he was just hanging back.
Was he?
Yeah,
He was actually taking the video.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's moved up to filmer now.
So he's not. He's kind of hanging back a bit before he gets full part in the.
Yeah, he was starting to go his head a little bit, so I've just had to pull him back a little bit, rein it in.
What about talk about the Skipton scene in terms of e-mountain bikes. I mean, what you must see people out. What kind of rides they go on? They obviously don't hang around in that horrible glen that you hang around in.
The most beautiful wood in the world.
It is beautiful, but it's way out of reach for most people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're saying, like 50. How many? 50k?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have done that once, probably. But like, I think my ride is
In your
like,
whole life?
yeah, maybe, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my general ride is like probably 1 mile squared, and that's like probably I come back and probably use 10% of my battery. You know, and I could have been in there for a long time.
So does that mean then? We talk. Let's go back to bike setup again. Does that mean I think there's a 625 in that Whyte 160? Does that mean you could possibly run like a smaller battery because you don't need that range?
Yeah, you can take. I think it's free batteries because mine's got the 730. Is it?
750.
Yeah, 750.
Got a smart system, right? Yeah.
It's got the big boy in at the moment. But I was talking about putting the 500 in. Just for me, because I don't need the range and obviously the weight factor as well. What you can save with the battery length. So
George knows everything about weight.
It's a good thing, especially for me. You know, I don't need the range. You know, it's more for me for beneficial. Chop that little bit of, you know.
Maybe you should wear the bulletproof vest.
He's going to.
And then you can try. Oh, good luck.
I'm keen.
It's really fun.
That could be the next video then.
Done.
Leslie
It might
Akrigg
level
Jones.
us.
Huh?
It might level us.
Yeah.
It might do. I think I hardly think so. Folks, thanks so much for joining us to give us an insight into the type of riding you do and your bike setups. Obviously, I think it is very different all over the world, isn't it? Kind of.
Yeah.
How and where you ride your e-mountain biking.
Very expansive, Steve, I would say.
Actually, one last thing. Any favourite places to go riding e-bikes, Georgia? In the world?
Oh my God, in the world.
Where would you like to go ride an e-mountain bike in the world?
I'd like to go ride an e-mountain bike in Italy.
Okay. I'd like to be invited to like a press camp or something. I mean,
that'd be good.
I mean, you are brand manager after all.
Maybe we'll have to organise one in Italy somewhere.
Chris, I've seen you you had some fantastic riding in Madrid, north of Madrid there.
Yeah,
Surely that's going to be on the list, isn't it?
I think it'd be somewhere that, like, generally people don't go to ride. That's pretty much where I want to go, to be honest.
That's
I've not
amazing.
found that place yet, though.
Ooh. Now there's
One
a
day.
challenge. There's a challenge. Folks, thanks so much for joining us on this special edition of EMBN.